All right, welcome in everyone. This is my second time recording this video because I accidentally forgot to actually hit record the first time I was going through it. But today, this is just going to be a quick little tip on how you can actually use the answer choices to make your life easier when doing math. This is mostly a time-saving tactic that you can use. It's not going to work on every single question that you're going to have to do math, but it is going to help with quite a few, and it's going to significantly decrease how much work you have to do for a lot of questions. So basically, my point is that if I bring up a practice problem, my point is that while you're reading through this, I'm sure there's a lot of numbers that are standing out to you, like the fact that there's a frequency of 5 times 10 to the 14th hertz, and a speed, a velocity of 2 times 10 to the 17th nanometers per second, whatever that is. So basically, we're just going to be using that. Basically, we're just going to be using that equation v is equal to lambda times f, and we're just going to be solving for wavelength because that's the notice the units is in meters, wavelength is in meters. That's the variable that we're solving for. So while you might be kind of dreading this a little bit because we have a nano here and you're going to have to convert that nanometers to meters, my point is that if you're looking at the answer choices, notice that the coefficient of the scientific notation is different for every single answer choice. What that means is that we actually don't care about any of the scientific notation or the SI prefixes. The reason for that is the SI prefixes like nano and milli and the scientific notation are just changing how many zeros there are around these numbers. Like how many zeros are coming after the 4 or before the 4, after a decimal, something like that. They're not going to actually change that 4 if the A is the correct answer, if that makes sense. So basically, just bear with me for a second here. Let's just do this math with 2 and 5. So if our velocity is 2 and our frequency is 5, we basically have 2 meters per second is equal to lambda times 5 hertz. We're going to divide both sides by 5 hertz so we can solve for lambda. That cancels out. The seconds on that left side will cancel out to leave us with meters since hertz is inverse seconds. That's a dimensional analysis thing that if you're curious about, you want to go watch my if you're in the content workshop, you'll want to go watch my wavelength videos to kind of explain that a little bit. But basically, we are left with a wavelength of 2/5 meters. Wavelength is 2/5 meters. If we put that as a decimal, it's just 0.4 meters. So our answer has to be A. We have not converted nanometers to meters. We also didn't include any of the scientific notation. Because we know that our number has to have a 4 in it, it has to be A. There's no way that it can be any other answer choice. Right. Okay, so just as another example, like I said, this is a time-saving tactic. We have another example I kind of have hidden down here because I didn't want to just completely get rid of it. So in this example, there's this device that's going to be emitting some current through this other thing that's going to create some power that is being dissipated over this element or whatever, doesn't matter. But basically, going through the question, we have a current of 2.5 amps. We have a power of 30 watts, because watts is the unit of power. So we're looking for voltage. So since we're looking for voltage, P is equal to IV is right there. That's the electrostatic power equation. That's obviously the equation that we're going to be using. So here, again, notice in the answer choices, we have basically 3 different numbers. So I can hear you saying like, okay, the answer is probably going to be A or B because there's 2 of them. So that means it's probably correct. The MCAT does not do that. The MCAT is going to try to trick you. In fact, it's not even going to try to trick you. They're just going to give you multiple options for things. And it's not like your usual classes or stuff like that, where if there's 2 numbers that are nearly the same, that they're more likely to be the correct one. That is not true for the MCAT. So basically, like I said, using this as a time-saving tactic, even though there's a chance that we might get a number that starts with 1.2, like 12 or 0.12, doesn't matter. If that were the case, we would still have to go through and do the math to figure out if the correct scientific notation should be 4 or 3. But if you don't have time, and all you got was that the answer should start with 1.2, you're at least guessing with a 50-50 chance rather than a 25% chance if you were trying to delineate between all 4 of these answer choices. And if you get a number that's 4.5, the answer has to be C. So you just save yourself a lot of time by doing this little, it's not necessarily even a trick. It's basically just you're ignoring SI prefixes and scientific notation just to see if you can get an answer before you have to do more work, right? This is an exam where it's timed. There's a lot of stuff that you have to do. So I recommend trying to cut corners with that timing wherever you can. So let's do that first. Let's ignore converting things to millivolts because that's what the answer choice is asking it for it in. Let's just solve for a voltage first, right? Okay, so P is equal to IV. That's giving us that 30 watts is equal to 2.5 amps times the voltage. If we solve for voltage, voltage is just going to be equal to 30 watts divided by 2.5 amps. You can, if you wanted to, you could convert this to scientific notation to make it a little bit easier to divide. Typically what I do in this circumstance is I just kind of repetitively multiply 2.5 onto itself until I get to 30. So 2.5 goes into 10 4 times. So that means it's going to go into 30 12 times. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can do that quick little shortcut of math. Whatever works for you, doesn't matter. So basically, we just got that the answer choice has to be either A or B. That's what this number is telling me. It has to start with a 1 and then a 2, 12, something. So because of that, if you're out of time, you are at least now guessing with a 50-50 chance of getting it right, rather than 25 if you were still trying to guess between all 4 answer choices. But if you did have time, you could also just really quickly convert this answer choice into the proper unit. Right, so I recommend watching my SI prefixes for this, but if we're trying to the video that I have, if we're trying to convert 12 volts to millivolts, all you have to do, ask yourself is the unit getting larger or smaller? And the number is going to do the opposite. So here, going from volts to millivolts, the unit is getting smaller, which means the number is going to get bigger. Milli is the prefix for 10 to the 3rd power, so all we have to do is just multiply 12 volts by 10 to the 3rd power, and that's going to give us millivolts. This is equal to 12 volts. These two numbers are the exact same thing, but the answer wants it in millivolts. So you might be thinking, oh yeah, immediately the answer choice is A because there's that 3 there, but be careful because this is not yet in proper scientific notation. We are going to have to slide this decimal to the left, which is going to increase this exponent, meaning that our answer should be 1.2 times 10 to the 4th millivolts. The answer is B. Right. There's some other things in there, like if you're struggling with the SI prefixes, I recommend watching my video. If you're struggling with what I just did with moving the decimal in scientific notation, I also have another video for scientific notation math. But basically, that's the long story short of how you can dramatically make your life easier on the MCAT. Look at the answer choices first. That's going to tell you how much math you have to do, because if all of the numbers are different, you can just ignore all of the SI prefixes and scientific notation. Hopefully that helps. If you want more practice with this or just any math in general, I do have a course where you can just workshop a whole bunch of it basically goes through all of the equations and all of the random math skills that you need for the exam. That's a good way to make your life a lot easier for a lot of that stuff. If you're watching this in January of 2026, that's not yet out, but it will be out soon, so you can just sign up for updates. But hope to see you guys there. Glad you guys stopped by to watch this video. Hopefully it helped a little bit, but I'll see you guys in the next one.